right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Outdoor Addictions. I almost said Real True Lean Pro Fridays, Keith. Well, why in the world we have two different names?
That's what happened when we record back to back.
I know we always have a radio show on Super Talk 102.1 FM here in Brookhaven right before we do the podcast. I wish there was a way we could incorporate both at the same time, but unfortunately we just can't do that. So, but yeah, it always gets a little confusing. So this is Outdoor Addictions Podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. Keith, how are you this morning?
I'm good, man. I lost a little weight yesterday.
Lost a little weight.
Yeah, pulled a tooth. A tooth pull. Anything you take out of your body, you're losing weight. Right?
Did your wife videotape you in that recovery?
No, she didn't. She threatened to, but I wasn't as funny as my son or your daughter.
I videotaped one of my daughters, Tristan, who had her wisdom tooth out, and she would have killed. I showed Keith the video a couple days ago.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on Facebook.
Yeah, she would have killed me. She had that big strap around her head with the ice pack, and her mouth was full of galls, and she couldn't talk. But she didn't know she couldn't talk. She would just talk away and get mad at me because I couldn't understand.
It wasn't stopping her.
Look, I had to take both of my sisters like 2 years ago to go get their wisdom teeth out at the same time, and getting two of them together was something else. And I guess everybody handles it different, because when I got mine out, it was just like waking up from a nap. I was just as lucid as could be. I actually, that afternoon, I was in school at Mississippi State, and my dad came up to carry me up there and back, and had a buddy who knew a guy that had a squirrel dog, and we had been wanting to hunt all year. And he calls me right after I get my wisdom teeth out. I was like, man, you'll go squirrel hunting this afternoon. I'm like, man, I can't. I just got my wisdom teeth out. I was so mad about it. And after an hour or two, my dad was like, yeah, I think you're fine. I think you can go. So I went squirrel hunting that afternoon. I got my wisdom teeth out, walked 4 or 5 miles, shot a couple squirrels, and it didn't affect me anything at all.
Did you remember most of it?
Oh, I remember all of it. Yeah, no, it was fine. They wouldn't let me drive there. My dad carried me there, but I'm telling you, I was just as lucid as could be. It was.
Yeah, you probably relaxed.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
I was pretty lucid yesterday. I slept a lot. I guess sleeping off the medicine, and I woke up early that morning too. But other than that, I felt fine.
Yeah, well, good. So you're good to go then?
I'm good to go.
Did you keep the tooth? You got it with you?
Yeah, you know, around my neck.
All right, we have with us Mr. Tristan Peavy, who's the Lincoln County Extension Agent right here in Lincoln County. He's been on the show before, but we wanted to have him back. So Tristan, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I appreciate y'all having me back on.
By popular demand.
I know. Well, anytime y'all want me to come on, I'm here for it.
Have you seen any Black Panthers since last time?
No, I hadn't. I've been looking. I've been looking hard, and I still hadn't seen any.
Yeah, we've been looking too, but we hadn't seen one yet either. So
I think I saw. Yeah, anytime I see a blur go across the road, I'm like, oh, it was a panther. That has to have been. I've seen a couple of them, but none of them were black. They were all brown. Grayish.
Speaking of that, earlier this month with turkey season being open, people have been posting pictures of seeing cougars while they're turkey hunting. Now, I'm not sure what state they're in when they see these things, but there's one guy in Florida that saw one.
I think I saw the same one you're talking about.
Pretty scary. That
thing
walked right up on him.
I don't know what I'd do if that happened to me.
A pretty good sized cat. And there was another video of, I can't remember what state it was now, but they were turkey hunting and a cougar crossed the road and stopped in the middle of the road, and they videotaped it, and then it went on across the road. It wasn't going black. It was just obviously just a cougar, but it was a pretty good sized cat.
I think everybody would say, oh, if I did that, I'd shoot it or something like that. I don't think anybody knows what they'd do until they got that close to one.
That's exactly right. That's pretty cool. All right, we wanted to have you on to talk about all this dead timber we're seeing here in Southwest Mississippi. So there are probably people listening to this podcast who don't live here in Southwest Mississippi. They live in other states, other areas of the state, other areas of the country. So what we're going to be talking about is this past year, in 2023, we had a historical drought here in Southwest Mississippi and Central Mississippi as well. And we had just a huge influx of pine timber, or just timber in general, but especially pine timber was weakened by it. And then we had these little insects, the beetles, move in and anyway, it has destroyed much of our timber. So we wanted to have Tristan on to talk about what happened. I mean, how did all this happen? And it seems like it was just a perfect storm. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it was a perfect storm. As far as how, I'm not a meteorologist, so I can't get into the whole drought specifics on why that happened.
Right.
But how the trees died, I can tell you about. And, I mean, the down to dirty, gritty part of it, I mean, just the plain fact of it is it got hot, it got dry, these trees got stressed out. These beetles that are always here, I mean, we have them every year.
Right.
They just decided to make hay while the sun shined and
took advantage
of it. And man, did they have a year. I've told everybody this is probably the best year in the world to be a woodpecker you've ever seen. There's no shortage of trees to poke around in and find something to eat.
So the next proliferation is going to be woodpeckers.
We'll probably
and cicadas.
Yeah, we might see a boom in woodpeckers in the next couple of years.
Well, tell us a little bit about these beetles. That's above my head in terms of what are here. I mean, what types of beetles are here?
Yeah, they're above your head.
Well, one of them actually attacks below your head.
Oh, right. See.
But there's three main species, or three main bark beetles. There's 6 species technically, or 5 species. There's the black turpentine beetle. That's the one that's going to attack below your head usually. It's going to enter from the bottom of the tree, the bottom third. Then you got the southern pine beetle, which is the one that gets the bad rap. I mean, it's kind of like the...
that's the one you hear about most of the time.
Yeah, you hear about it. I mean, it's kind of like everybody, the coronavirus or something like that. It's just kind of a buzzword that people catch on to. And then you've got the Ips beetle. The Ips beetle is what hit us this year more than anything. 99.8% of the tree death we saw from a beetle was an Ips.
First time I've heard of an Ips beetle.
Yeah.
Never heard it.
I've heard of it, but I'll be honest, most time you only hear about the southern pine beetle because that's what affects. And like you talked about earlier on our radio show, those are common in a sense. You see a big swab of timber that's affected by that. Or, I mean, they move into certain... the treatment for that is you cut the timber, basically. You just cut it, lay it down, and that keeps it from spreading.
Yeah, we see it most frequently on large timber tracts, specifically national forests, just because their management regime is a lot different than private industrial forest and non-industrial private forests. And if you look at a map that has hot spots of southern pine beetle outbreaks throughout the years, you'll see 5 main spots in Mississippi, and that's your 5 national forests that are in pine. Homachita, DeSoto, Bienville, Holly Springs, and Tombigbee. Now, Delta National Forest won't have any because it's all bottomland hardwoods.
That's true.
But if you look at the hot spot maps, it's almost always the hottest spots are going to be these national forests. And yeah, what they'll do is they'll get an exclusion zone of. I mean, they manage them almost kind of like you would manage a wildfire of sorts. You kind of figure out which direction they're moving, and then go and cut around the perimeter, a 2-tree length around the perimeter, and just stop the spread and contain them because they can't fly further than that.
But with the Ips beetles, there's really there's nothing you can do to prevent this at this point.
No, because normally, I mean, like I said, we have them every year, and normally an Ips beetle is only going to kill 2 or 3 trees, 3 or 4 trees, and move on. I tell you, actually, the first place I saw Ips beetle was out at your old camp here in Lincoln County. I got a call from the guy you bought it from to go look at it, and it was the first tree I saw damaged by an Ips beetle in all this drought. It was probably back in July.
And it just fault.
No, it wasn't your fault. I told him it wasn't your fault.
We're hearing from that bar.
No, I told him it wasn't your fault. He's a good friend of mine now.
He's a nice guy.
He's a great guy. But yeah, it just hit 2 or 3 trees there and moved on, and it was in a spot where trees had been injured by logging. It was before this drought really took hold here.
Right.
And then, so like I said, you get it usually only kills a couple trees, but this year we had all the perfect conditions, the drought, the heat, and everything for these beetles to take advantage of everything. And one thing to note about the biology of these beetles, they actually don't feed when it gets really hot. it's actually too hot for them. They do their best. They can feed down to like 50 degrees on an average air temperature. But when it got this hot this summer, it killed a lot of them. These trees weren't able to respire. I mean, that's the process they use to translocate nutrients up and cool themselves off. And it got so hot, there was no moisture in the ground. So these trees got hot, and that's what stressed them and killed a lot of these trees. And it also killed a lot of these beetles because these beetles got too hot in the trees. And it killed, more than anything, I think it had a hand in killing the clarid checkered beetle, which is one I didn't mention earlier because it's not a bark beetle. It's a predatory beetle that makes its living off of killing bark beetles. Cool. So it was kind of a perfect storm of killing off the predators, stressed trees, and they had enough trees that they were able to remain healthy in, and then boom, they just exploded.
Yeah, it is amazing. We talked about this earlier. Like, we were in Copiah County yesterday, and we were around the curve, and there were several. It was like the whole forest on both sides of the road. Pine trees were dead. And then you go around the curve a little bit further, it may be a different elevation or something, and it looked fine. And even we talked about trees in your yard where one tree made it just fine and another one didn't. And I guess it's just the little small features of the landscape, the way the hills and hollows roll or something, it can affect whether or not they survive or not.
Yeah, I think soil type plays a fairly big role in it. And I mean, I'd love for somebody smarter than me and with more time on their hands than me to do a PhD dissertation on an evaluation of soil type and how it affected this drought. Because I think some of these heavier clay soils that were already good managed stands of timber fared a lot better than some of these lesser managed stands of timber on sandy soils that didn't have as much moisture available for these trees to respire.
It makes sense. So what would be your advice for landowners who have experienced this now? They've got a lot of these standing dead timber on the property. I mean, what's next? I mean, what are their options at this point?
Well, before anything, I would hope they've already done it, but if not, hire a forester. I'm here to help you with timber and provide technical assistance where I can, but I'm not a registered forester, and nothing will replace a registered forester. That's what they're here for. And if everybody that has timberland needs a forester. If they got an animal, they need a vet, and they all need a primary care doctor. It's no different than that. I mean, he's helping manage a resource you have, not just a natural resource that you can find recreational value on, but also monetary value on it in timber. It's an investment that you need to manage.
Now is probably a better time than any if you don't have a forester, it's probably a good time to get in contact with one so that you can make plans how to move forward.
Yeah, and wherever you're at, if you're listening to this in Lincoln County or Barrow, Alaska,
that's right.
You can go and look up the registered foresters in your state through the Board of Registered Foresters. Yeah, and it'll give you a list of every forester in your county, parish, borough, district, whatever. And you can just throw a dart at the map and pick one off the list.
That's right.
On there. And I mean, they're all trained just the same. I mean, they've got all the same credentials and qualifications.
I've learned some of these foresters, they travel, they go to other counties too. They move around. So I mean, we know of 2 or 3 right off the top of our head, right? That just travel all the time. And so and plus, like Tristan said, if you don't know anybody, I bet you could ask a family member or a friend, and they probably know someone who's got a connection. And at least, I mean, that's a good place to start too, just to find somebody who's a friend of a friend who's had a good experience with that forester. It might be all you need. But if also you can contact, I'm sure if they contact your office, you can give them a list of local, and we do the same thing. I mean, if you contact us,
we know foresters, and we got one works in our office here, Glenn Millers.
Yeah. He's a licensed master forester.
Got friends and other people out there. We've had them on the show before that are foresters.
That's right. So, anything else that we're missing?
Well, past hiring a forester, there's a couple trains of thought on managing them for the Ips beetle. Some people say cut them down. Some people say leave them standing. I like the idea of leaving them standing. One, because they're not going anywhere. They're dead. They're not worth any money. They're worth the same amount of money standing or dead. And it also, with southern pine beetle, if you knock the tree over, they say the southern pine beetle can't orient itself back up to find the next tree.
Right.
With an Ips beetle, they say it's different. You can still lay a tree over and they can come out and emerge and find the next dead tree. I think they can fly a little bit further than a southern pine beetle typically can.
Right.
So I like to leave them standing. And another point with that is you're providing habitat for the clarid checkered beetle, which is the predator beetle. Plus, there's a lot of other stuff that finds habitat in it, and they can find habitat in down trees too. There's certainly a place for that in the landscape when it comes to wildlife management. But standing dead trees are important, especially hardwood trees around ponds. Wood ducks gonna put nest up in that.
That's the first thing I thought of, wood ducks around water and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and these woodpeckers. I mean, like I said, they're about to have a good couple years.
Well, I think one of the concerns I've heard for landowners, they're concerned about future timber. All this standing timber is going to be falling, but it's been my experience, and I'm not a forester, but when a pine tree deteriorates like that, it kind of starts from the top down. You'll see the limbs fall first.
Yeah, I've been telling people, and I've been telling people with the caveat, I'm not liable if this tree does fall. But generally, you've got 2 years or so before a dead pine tree is going to fall. And a lot of times, they'll just break the top off.
Yeah, it seems like
you'll end up. Yeah, you usually won't have them uproot themselves when they do fall. Now that being said, I'm not liable for the pine tree in your backyard that did die and it falls on your house, because I said, with our luck, we'll have a Category 5 hurricane come through here this fall.
Lay them all down.
Yeah.
But it's been my experience, you'll see the top fall out, and then you may have a partial tree stand for the next few years, really, before it finally just topples over,
And sometimes they'll be standing to the point where you could punch your hand up to past your knuckles in it. The wood gets so soft in it, but that core will still be
We've got
hard.
in our camp house yard there was a couple of pine trees. They have fallen over, but it's about like that. It's real soft around that outer.
That hard center is where you get that fat lighter from, or lighter wood, or whatever you call it. That stands for forever. But past those two things, there's really not a whole lot you can do for them once it's happened. As far as future management, we can get into that in a bit. But now there's really not much you can do other than the USDA is rolling out the Emergency Forest Restoration Program here in Southwest Mississippi. If you live somewhere else, sorry.
Yeah.
But you also didn't have pine trees die like we did,
So there's a meeting about that in the next couple of days, right?
Yeah, on May the 6th here in Lincoln County out at the Civic Center. We're going to have Melissa Jordan from the USDA FSA office come talk about the program and all the ins and outs, how it works, and answer all the questions from it, because I'm not a great federal program interpreter. They can get pretty convoluted in the language, and she'll tell you from the horse's mouth what's going to be needed and how it's going to roll out.
I think that's going to be really good information. And so if you're within driving distance, some 12 hours or so, just come on, right?
Yeah. Call my office first and let me know, because I'm gonna cook some food for it, and I'll have you a meal for it, and I need to know how many folks I got to feed.
Tell us that number.
601-835-3460.
So you call that number, tell them you want to come, bring a family member if you want to.
Yeah.
And come on and have a good meal. And I've been to several of these not about this topic, but several meetings that y'all have had over the years, and they're very informative. And you won't be sad that you went to it. You'll pick up something that you can use.
Definitely.
And in this situation, you have a chance to get some money, basically, right?
Yeah.
To offset that loss.
What it's going to be is it's going to be a 75% cost share. So if it costs you $5,000 or $10,000 to get all this dead timber off your land, you're going to get $7,500 of that reimbursed.
That's big. That's huge.
Yeah. How exactly it's going to get implemented and what the timeline is and what all it's going to take to qualify for it, I'm still kind of in the woods on and don't 100% understand that yet. But come Monday, I'll be able to tell you hopefully anything you need to know about it.
That's great. So that's going to be at the Lincoln Civic Center, which is located on Beltline Drive.
1096 Beltline.
Yeah, 1096. It's near the airport, so you can look up the airport here in Brookhaven. It's right down the road.
Yeah.
almost within sight of it. And it starts at 6 o'clock. Is that right?
6 o'clock.
The doors open at 6. So come on in and learn something.
Yeah.
All right. So how does this? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what else you got going on in it?
Yeah, I've got all kind of programs going on throughout the year. I got a home lawn course coming out tomorrow at my office. If you're interested in that, you can come learn about how to make your lawn look good. And we got our farmers market ramping up before too long. Our dairy day, all kind of things. We've been rocking and rolling.
We've had you and other members from the office come in the past, but it's still a lot of people don't realize the benefit you can get from the extension office there.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we've got just tons of resources out there for you, and anything you could have a question about that is in the natural world, we can find an answer to it somewhere. I can find somebody that knows if I don't know, because there's a whole lot that I don't know. But I know a lot of people that know a lot.
Yeah, we deal with people who come in from other states and buy property here. They really may not have a background living in the country, that kind of thing. But they want to learn. I mean, they want to learn how to grow a garden. They want to learn how to have timber on their property. They want to learn how to plant food plots. But the truth is, they don't really know where to start.
Oh, I have 4 different out-of-state landowners that have bought land here in Lincoln County that I'm helping out with pond stuff right now, trying to get ponds.
That's another thing. A pond is a good.
But no, we're rocking and rolling. Any questions anybody's got, we're here for it.
So if you're out there listening this today, and you're thinking about buying property, or maybe you're thinking about selling a place, and but certainly if you've already bought a place and you want to implement some of these things and you don't really know where to start. Now, it's been my experience. Some people are just kind of self-conscious about it. They kind of don't want to admit they don't know what to do. But yet every growing season that goes by, every spring, every summer, every fall, you lose an opportunity, right? So just don't wait. That's my advice: is seek advice. Go to professionals like Tristan, who can. If he can't answer the question, he can put you in contact with somebody who can.
They definitely know the people to talk to.
Absolutely.
Well, I tell people I'm not the man, but I know the man. I can find the man or the woman that knows the answer.
Hey, there are ladies that have been here and talked to us about canning. Once you get your gardens up and going, and how to can what you grow out of it and preserve it.
I tell people, especially folks who want to get into gardening, life's too short to not grow a good tomato and enjoy it.
I'm telling you.
Go plant you some tomato plants and eat that tomato sandwich.
It's not a tomato it tastes so different.
It really does. It's a much different taste than that tomato sandwich you get from Walmart. Nothing against Walmart, but those are greenhouse tomatoes, right?
No,
they're just not quite the same.
Nothing like that good old Mississippi sun grown tomato.
We talked about this before, but a lot of people, there's a big push across our country where people want to know where the food comes from. And it's not just vegetables. It's like, of course, we deal with it with hunting property. People like the idea, if I harvest a deer or a turkey, I know where it comes from. I mean, it's good. It makes a good meal. But you'd be surprised at the number of people who've never cleaned a deer, never plucked a turkey or cleaned a turkey, cut that breast out. They just don't know where to start. But yet they want to learn. They want to learn about how to do that stuff. Things like duck hunting. There's people that go duck hunting who've never cleaned a duck.
Yeah.
They don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And really are kind of intimidated. They wouldn't mind learning how to cook one, but they don't know how to clean the thing.
Man, they say the only time they've had duck was it was rolled up in bacon with cream cheese and how. If you have me on Facebook, you'll know that I'm not that I won't eat a duck popper, but there's so many other good ways to cook a duck. They say, I had duck once and it tasted like liver.
I went on a goose hunting trip up in Arkansas earlier this year. One of the guys up there cooked a gumbo with goose from geese that they killed the previous year. And I've eaten goose a couple of times. To be honest, it wasn't really good. But this was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, man, that's good.
There's a lot of good ways to do it.
Yeah, and it's surprising. And these guys were from North Carolina, and they traveled all the way to Arkansas to go goose hunting. But They eat up with it, man. But I mean, they cooked great food. It was pretty cool to experience a meal from somebody else in other parts of the country.
They were from North Carolina and made a good gumbo.
They did. They made a good gumbo. They were from North Carolina.
I'm kind of weary on that.
It was pretty good, actually. It was pretty good. They weren't from Louisiana. We had another group there from Tennessee. And I guess they didn't know how to cook because they didn't mention anything.
Yeah.
This group in North Carolina, they brought food with them to cook. They were prepared. Anyway, we had a good time. All right, anything else, Keith, that you can think of?
Don't put me on the spot like that.
Take it by your silence if not. So, all right, Tristan, we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all having me
love
on.
to have you back.
Anytime y'all got any other topic, bring me on.
We'll do it.
One more time, throw your phone number out there.
601-835-3460. My email address is mtp161@msstate.edu. And if you're here in Lincoln County or somewhere close by, I'm in the courthouse, second floor on the northwest corner of the building.
All right.
All right.
Everybody have a good week, and until next time, stay addicted.
To the outdoors.
Thank you, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you know, Steve Jones tried to get me to go on that hunt with y'all.
That was so much fun.
I'm glad it panned out. Especially, I told him, you know, this was a good outfitter.
Yeah, you came through on that, man. Those guys. Of course, I think there was 2 guides with us that morning. They said that was by far the best hunt they'd ever.
Yes,
we killed all those birds in one volley.
That's nuts.
225 in one volley.
Were you shooting an extended choke too?
No, nobody told me about that. I had no idea. Steve and I didn't know. We just took our plug out.
Yeah.
And everybody showed. Look, most of them brought 2 guns.
Yeah.
They had the extended choke, and then not choke, but what's it called? Extended magazine.
Yeah.
They brought 2. There was one dude. I kid you not. Well, the guides, all those geese were behind us. And he said, all right, well, I'm going to count to 3. And they were so loud, this dude was yelling we could all hear.
It's deafening.
I'm going to count to 3, and we're all going to get up. He's like, don't aim. Just shoot your gun. Empty it, and then load it and shoot it again. Don't aim. Just shoot into the wall. I'm like, the wall? What's the heck he's talking about? All the geese are on the ground. When you stand up, they get up, and it just forms a wall. And this one dude beside me, he jumped up. He was just like Rambo. He was just. And I had my little 5 shells. And I mean, just like that, it was over. And there was just wounded geese everywhere. It was crazy.
So I'm glad that panned out. I told him if y'all go next year, holler at me because I would probably do it. I want to go up there and hunt snow geese, and I want to go down to like Gaydon, Louisiana, and do a spec hunt down in the marsh or in the rice fields. But yeah, I'm with the wedding this year. I was like, I don't want to spend the money.
I know what you mean.
But I'm jealous.
It was a fun trip. That was my first time. That was his first time. So
yeah. He had been telling me like, man, I want to do it. It's a bucket list trip for me.
It was kind of a last minute. He called me and said, look, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I didn't really have the money, but I just talked to my wife. She's like, well, go.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Well, I'm gonna go then.
I'm glad it panned out. They're a really good outfit and service too.
We drove. Did he tell you how far we had to drive every morning?
It's like 45 minutes, wasn't it?
No, it was over 2 hours.
Really?
We drove over 2 hours each morning to get to our house. We drove almost the width of the darn state. We were camped way down near Stuttgart, and we hunted near Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Really? Y'all went all the way up to Jonesboro?
We were almost within a stone's throw of Jonesboro.
That's what they got. I mean, that's what
they just go where the geese are.
Yeah, you got to go where they're at. It's not like ducks where they're spread out and most everywhere. These, I mean,
yeah.
Because we had a lease a couple of years ago around Belzona, and we had them, and we had 3 feeds around us within like 4 miles.
Oh wow!
And of course, you know, I don't have the setup to do that kind of snow geese hunting. We'd get lucky and shoot a couple on a foggy morning if we put some decoys out and call on a really foggy morning, they'd just come and check it out.
Right.
And you'd catch them lacking that way. But they're fun. They're fun.
It was a fun hunt.
And they don't eat bad. They're not as bad. People make them out to be just terrible. But I think part of it's just because of they used to be a marsh bird. You know, they'd go all the way down to the coast. But now they just eat ag waste. So they're not, people would say they're muddy. They make good sausage.
Yeah, I've ate, a couple of guys had brought that summer sausage, and I ate a lot of that.
Yeah, it was good.
I was hungry. But one thing I didn't realize is there was no place to go eat. I mean, the place there usually serves meal, but he said the cook had quit, and they didn't have a cook. That's why that group from the other state was cooking.
Yeah.
And so we thought we'd just run in town. Heck, it was an hour and a half to a Wendy's. I mean, that's what we ended up doing, going to Wendy's a couple times. Went to the same Wendy's, actually. But we didn't take food. We had a few snacks that we were going to take out in the field.
Yeah.
But we weren't prepared for that. And
we all know better now.
I know now, though. And usually they cook you a meal.
Mm-hmm.
He said they cooked breakfast and supper. But the cook had quit just recently, so we don't have a cook.
They knocked off
he knocked off. I can't remember what it was. It was $100 or something.
Yeah.
But it was too late to go get. I don't know. I guess I just didn't think about it really. I don't know if Steve thought about it. Steve may not eat, but I like to eat, man. Especially if I'm gonna go on a trip.
Yeah.
You know, you want to eat something.
Yeah, it's special.
We get there and you realize there's nothing to eat.
Yeah.
And nowhere to go to get something to eat. And those guys, they cooked and they're like, man, y'all don't run in town. Just eat with us. I was like, oh man, I hate to do that. And they're like, we gotta have plenty of food. Anyway, one guy had the sausage. And I was so hungry, I ate. I probably almost got sick eating so much of it. But it was good.
Yeah, it's good. I made some jerky with some last year. That was pretty good too.
Yeah, I got some in the freezer. I got to cook. I think I kept 20 of them. What am I going to do with 20 goose breasts? Well, it really is more than that. There's 2 in each.
Yeah, you got 40 goose breasts. Go take it to someone and get sausage made out of it.
That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
I guess you can do it's frozen, but I guess I could still do that, couldn't I? That's what I need to do.
They do regular smoked sausage or summer sausage.
I got back from that trip. I was tired, and we already had them clean. Let's put them in the freezer.
Yeah.
They've been there ever since. And my wife and kids are not going to eat it, so they're not. You might eat some. I cook some.
Yeah, they'd be smoked.
Will they eat deer sausage?
Oh yeah, they'll eat
just
deer
tell
sausage.
them it's deer sausage. That's what I do with people and stuff all the time.
Yeah, they love deer sausage.
Yeah, I bet you they won't even hardly tell the difference between it and deer sausage.
True.
If you put enough cheese and jalapeno in it.
I guess I could take it to any of the places around here that
Yeah.
Nights or
550
Diamond J. Yeah,
Diamond J. I'm sure they'd all do it.
that's what I need to do.
Give me a year or two, and I'm about to start doing some processing.
Oh, you really?
Yeah.
Okay, good idea.
Bring me some.
I'll bring a deer to you for sure.
I'll make you some. I want to start doing some duck sausage and stuff too.
You know, I never had duck sausage, but I bet that's pretty good.
It is. It makes good sausage. I made some tamales with duck this past year that were really dang good.
That sounds good.
That's what I'm trying to. That's what I want to get to is the tamale.
To make anyway.
Yeah, but they're good.
Yeah, I love tamales.
And people will pay money for them.
They sure
They
will.
will pay money for them.
84 Chevron used to make, I guess they still do, man. They got a business over there with 84 Chevron. You can get them made, order them, and they're not bad.
Still do. I'm
gonna name a town. I bet you can tell me where to go get the tamales. Greenville, Mississippi.
I actually don't know. I mean, I've been to Doe's and had tamales there, but that's the only place I've had them.
I was that tall, and we were going to Doe's and getting tamales. How many can you eat?
I gotta stop that video.
I make like a Mexican tamale though, not like I make a big